So today we are going to discuss self-love, and I'm not talking about that type of self-love before I start, but self-love and self-compassion are two of the hardest things in the world to develop, and they're also probably the most crucial things that we need to implement in order to move forward. Because what you won't realize is that what you say about yourself to yourself is 100 times more important than what anyone else does. We've gone through these topics all the time, and we all fall foul of this goop, right? What Peter Sage calls goop, which is the good opinion of other people, GOOP. And it stops us from doing things. And as we've said, it's a fear. It's a fear of being mocked. It's a fear of being judged. It's a fear of failure. It's a fear of being laughed at. It's fear of people taking the piss. Oh, here he goes. Fatty's off on another diet plan, mate. You've never stuck to anything for more. All that mocking, all that judging, all the toxic masculinity and bravado. Sometimes it's from partners and husbands and wives or work colleagues. But, generally it's that this is what kind of stops us doing things. This fear of what other people think, this fear of judgment, this it's why you don't, it's why you guys won't open your mics and talk on Zoom yet until you get more confident. It's why you won't ask questions in the Facebook group. It's why when I take the microphone to one of you on the day and ask you an event and ask you a question, your balls or your boobs or whatever's going to drop through the floor. You'll feel sick and you won't want to talk. And that is all because you have a fear of being judged. That's it. I said this to Paul several times because even I did this when I first went into Paul Mort's mastermind. I just used to sit there for 8 hours like an absolute mug. I'd not get involved in any of the conversations. The thing that I wanted to say, I'd probably end up thinking it, 5 minutes after that conversation, and I'd really want to say it, but then I didn't find the strength to say it. And then, my ADHD would go crazy, then I'd be distracted, then I'd be looking out the window because I don't want to get involved in this. And I asked him, why do I behave like this? And he's like, because you're just afraid. You're in a room full of your peers and you're worried when you speak, they're going to think you're stupid. You're worried that what they're going to say isn't right. But, if we don't speak up, then we fail anyway, right? And we need to remember this, and this builds into self-love. So the people that matter will love you anyway. If you could trust me on this and write this down if you need to journal it, right? When you can truly just be your authentic self, you will attract all the love and success, health, wealth, and happiness that you have always desired. Always. And it's not about the money you're going to make. It's not about how nice your car is. It's not about how good your body is. It's not about how big your house is. It's not about your status. It's not about winning. It's not about any of these things that people think it is, that, people will like me because of X. The right people will like you because you are truly your authentic self. It's probably why most of you are here, because I've become quite good at doing this, and it would be very see-through if I wasn't. And as I've said, I get asked this all the time. How do I be more authentically? And the answer is it should be effortless, because authenticity doesn't exist. All that exists is a lack of authenticity through insecurity. So because I'm afraid to be my real self, because I'm afraid that people will judge me, I'm afraid that people won't like me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to constantly pretend to be someone else. And then I'll probably blame something like, I just have my barriers up, or I'm this way because of X, or I'm just this type of person. Well, no, you're not. You're afraid to be yourself. This is why people behave the way they do. And that's why they would be asking that question. How do I be more authentic? You shouldn't need to be authentic. I'm not thinking about anything that's coming out of my mouth now. I'm thinking about whether you guys like it or not, whether it's right or wrong. I'm just saying what's in my head, which builds into what I'm going to be when I'm on stage for that last part as well. Like, I could overthink everything I'm going to say, right? Oh, can I really share that? Oh, that's a bit deep. God, do I really want people to know that? This is probably going to end. Do you know what I mean? And then I build up all this stuff, and then I deliver an inauthentic speech because I'd be thinking about what people want to hear and what their opinions are going to be and whether they're going to judge me. And then it would just be shit, basically. So You know, when you can get over this, which comes from self-love and self-compassion, which we're going to talk about, this is when you need to understand and write this down. When I can truly be myself, I will attract all the love and success that I've ever wanted. The right people will love me, and the other people don't matter. It's not about validation. It's not about significance. It's just about being yourself. And you also have to be okay with a lot of people don't like me because they get triggered by the truth. I get hammered on TikTok, absolutely hammered. I get hammered on my Facebook page. I get hammered on Instagram. My Instagram's not too bad, actually. But the other two I get hammered on. I get slated. Every single post, there's probably 10 people that slate me. Everything from steroids to you've got no legs to, you know, you're short, you're bald, you're fat, potato head, tomato head, everything in between. Even like I said, the guy who openly posted that I'm a jealous, insecure little prick and I only look like this because of all the drugs that I take, and he hopes that I have a heart attack and die just because of a post I wrote that triggered him. That's it. But again, you know, I have to just be myself, and I have to understand that he's not the right person, is he? He's struggling, right? I sent him a message saying, like, bro, are you okay? Because that is not a good thing to write. And it hasn't really harmed me because I don't really care what you think. But for you to be saying that about another human who you don't even know to make yourself feel better, it is a dark place. Is there anything I can help you with? He didn't reply. But I don't need to worry about him liking me because he's not the right person. I only need to worry about when I am truly myself, when I am my authentic self, the right people will love me and the other people, they don't matter. So our self-talk has a massive impact on this and how we perceive ourselves and the world in general. So if you perceive yourself as a loser, guess what? You're going to be a loser. You perceive yourself as a winner, guess what? You're going to be a winner. But as I always say, what we say about ourselves to ourselves is 100, or what we say and think about ourselves, what we say to ourselves about ourselves and what we think about ourselves, which ultimately will then end up verbalizing, is more important than anyone else. So develop self-love. Not talking about touching yourself, talking about internal. Develop self-compassion. Be yourself and love yourself. I always tell this story about Paul Moore. I love it. You know, and we're afraid to do this, right? We're afraid to love ourselves because then people will think we're egotistical. Well, you're not. This is why you shouldn't be afraid of posting your wins, your houses, your cars, your bodies, whatever you want on your social media. It's your page. The right people will love you and the other people don't matter. You're not showing off. You're just proud of your achievements. Yet we thought, oh God, I've done this really great thing, but I don't really tell anyone because they'll think I love myself. And this guy said to Paul Moore, fucking hell, mate, you love yourself a bit, don't you? He says, yeah, I fucking do. Cover your kids' ears. He says, yeah, I do love myself. Maybe you should try it and you'd stop being such a cunt. Because you have to consider, if you don't love yourself, what do you do? What's the spectrum? Happy and sad, courage and fear, love and hate. If you don't love yourself, you're hating yourself. And it's negative self-talk and you're pulling yourself down. So take some time out now and just ask yourself, how do you talk to yourself? Dropped a C-bomb. Probably going to get banned off YouTube for that. But that is actually what he said. But he's right. You know, maybe you should try it. You're pulling me down for loving myself. Why don't you try loving yourself? You love your friends, you love your family. So why not love yourself? Why not love yourself like you love your dog? Why not love yourself like you love your husband or wife or your kids? And this is what I want to ask you, because this is what I do, especially when I'm struggling and I'm frustrated. I do this all the time. I'm really bad at it. It's why I've done the research on it, you know? Like I told that story as well about a certain ex-friend of mine who called me out. She said, you're full of shit, Lee. So what do you mean? She says, everything that you talk about on your lives, like, is you don't implement it. You don't do it in your own life. I says, yeah, I'm not perfect. And if I'm talking about something, it's something that I'm struggling with, which is why I've gone and done the deep work to find the answers, which I'm now recoaching. Thank you for your opinion. Have a nice day. and leave my life because she's not the right person. So off she went. But it happens when you're struggling. It happens when you're frustrated. It happens when you're tired, right? Drop me a yes if this is you. You really berate yourself. I'm thick. I'm stupid. I'm fat. I've got no willpower. I've got no discipline, no motivation. I'm never going to achieve that. Everything in the world's bad. I'm fucking useless. I'm a technophobe. Everything this is what I used to say all the time. Everything I do always goes wrong. I've said that so many times. Why do I always mess up? Why can't I just have 1 week when I don't upset anyone? Why can't I just have one day when nothing goes wrong? I berated myself after the run. And it was Ian Lambert who I was talking about at the start, right? So what the first run, when I'd got to 91 miles, it was about on the 80th mile when the press came down and they interviewed me, and I was like dying internally because I'm thinking I'm basically going on national TV and saying that I failed. And they said the fact that you're going to carry on for 24 hours is a better story, that you're carrying on with a foot that looks like a ski boot and you're still going to carry on is a better story than had you just completed the run. And then I got really giddy and excited after berating myself for 3 hours. I cried on the lake. And I then decided I'm going to try and run again. Right. And Tom was there, who's ex SAS, medic trained. He'd already told me no. And it was Ian Lambert that I said to. I went, Lambert, I'm going to try and run again. And he just literally pulled me to one side and said 4 words: don't be a dick. But again, I berated myself. And then the days, weeks, months afterwards, I was like, was my ankle injury really that bad? Or did I just check out? Did I just give up mentally? Am I just weak? Was I just tired? Was I just being a pussy? And to the level where Nat was having to show me the photos of my foot. She's saying you were medically withdrawn by 2 people, yet you're still berating yourself, saying that you maybe gave up too easy. You maybe checked out, that you quit because you were tired. That's all the conversations, right, I was having in my own head. I can't do it. I'm not strong enough. I'll never get to 100 miles. I've let everyone down. Failed again, right? We really berate ourselves. Drop me a yes if you do this. You probably do it when you fall off your diets, or, when you go on a bender again or something goes wrong. But think about this, right? Think about, how did Tom talk to me in that situation? How did you guys speak to me who came down on that situation, on that event? How did the press talk to me? Kindly, compassion. Lee, you've done incredible. And think about, when you start berating yourself, start to think about, how would you talk to your best friend? Would you talk to your best friend like that, the way you talk to yourself? The way you talk to yourself, so to speak, would you talk to your son or daughter like that? That's probably the most powerful one we can think of, right? Which, if your son or daughter didn't achieve something first time round, would you like berate them into the middle of next week? Would you tell them that they're useless? Everything you do, imagine me talking to Logan, mate, everything you do, you always fail. You're useless. You're never clever enough. You're too short. Why are you carrying on doing this? You mess it up every time. Why do you keep upsetting people? You're not good enough. You checked out mentally. You're weak. You want to talk to your son like that? I'd be like, mate, you did your best. I've got you back. I'm proud of you. Let's regroup. We can try again. I love you. I'm here. I say that to you guys all the time. Got you back 100%. How about having my own back 100%? Be your own best friend. Think about the next time you start berating yourself and pulling yourself down, think about how you would talk to your own best friend in the same situation. Because guess what? How you talk to yourself about yourself and what you think about yourself to yourself becomes a habit. And what does a habit become after 30 days? You're going to see the trend now. It becomes a belief. What does belief become? It becomes your identity. What do beliefs lead to? Actions, outcomes, and experiences. So again, we have to change the habits. We have to change the beliefs about ourselves. But like I said, I used to do it so badly to the level where Nat's even shouted before and gone like, "Lee, for fuck's sake, will you just give yourself some credit?" And to the level where I'm like, no, it's not good enough. That standard's not high enough. And it's the biggest thing that holds me back. And it's that perfectionism. As I've said before, perfectionism is the lowest level of fear. People will say, "Oh no, I'm going to wait." They have to wait for everything to be perfect in order to take action. Bullshit. Speed to market beats perfection every time. Just get out for a run. It doesn't matter if you can only do 400 meters. 400 meters is better than nothing. No, I'm going to wait until X. I'm going to wait until the trainers come. I'm going to wait until the teacher comes. Wait until the weather gets better. No, just get out and do it. People do this with signing up and starting. I'm going to see how things go. I'm just going to wait until after this. I'm going to wait until the perfect time. Some people do it with kids, don't they? You know, oh, we're just going to wait until we've got this much money and then we're going to have a child. We're just going to wait until we've got this house and then we'll have a child. Guess what? Children don't give a shit about any of that. Children just want to be loved and they just want your attention. That's it. That's the biggest lesson that Logan's given me. He's far happier with a £2 packet of cards in a car and me being fully focused and present with him for 2 or 3 hours than any big flashy gift or anything. So again, you know, we get it misconstrued, don't we? There's not a perfect time. You don't need things. You can base it on experiences. A bit of a tangent there, but you guys are used to that now. Someone reel my mind back in. So I've come to realize it's the biggest thing that's holding me back, which is why I planned this training for you guys. And the reason why it holds me back is because it's wasted energy. That's why. I'm watering the weeds, aren't I? We know this. Where attention goes, energy flows and results show. If we want to get results, we need to place our attention on our intention, not what's happened and why we let ourselves down, not the past. You know, we can look to the future, or you make decisions based on past experiences, or we can move. Do you want to move towards new experiences or keep basing your decisions on past experiences? Because they're bullshit. So self-talk is so powerful. Look at the marathons when I did that speech. I'll drop it in the WhatsApp group. Some people talked themselves into it. Some people talked themselves out of it. Some people didn't even show up because they talked themselves out of it. Some people showed up, didn't think they could do it, talked themselves into it, and completed the 26 miles. Jessica, Julie, and Jan get the best award for not being able to read watches. And by the time we got back to the cars, I think they'd all done 29 miles. Again, talked themselves into it. But, you know, high achievers, and you want to be a high achiever or you wouldn't be sat here watching this video, are so critical of themselves. And it's a good thing in one sense because we have exceptionally high standards, but we can also be our own worst enemy. And the other big thing that I'm realizing, and you guys have probably picked up on this, like I've been mentally going back in my own mind and thinking, what else did my granddad teach me? Ever since the concentrate Lee thing on the cricket bat, which I now relate to ADHD and getting distracted playing cricket, and he was aware of it, and that's why he did it. You know, I keep going through and I'm like, what other lessons did I learn? What other lessons did I learn? And I wrote 2 lessons down from him on this self-love and this self-compassion. And it's not a negative, but it's 2 things that he's probably done a little bit that brought me back to earth, grounded me and humbled me, but also didn't help with my self-love and compassion. So the first story was playing for Hitchin Cricket Club. I think I was about 14 or 15. And, you know, when a junior was playing for men's, it was unheard of for a junior to get a century. It was very rare that a junior would get a half century. You know, you normally batted about 8 or 9 because you were in the men's. You're just there to make up the numbers, really. Anyway, we were playing against Hatfield in Hertfordshire. And I got a 50, and everyone was like, floating my ego. Congratulations, crowd! Oh, that's amazing. He's the first Colt to get a men's 50, and you know, ego's obviously going through the roof. And then I got out on 99 with a really daft shot. And I remember walking off the cricket pitch. There was like a big balcony. Everyone was clapping and cheering, and I was putting my bat up. I was really kind of enjoying the moment. And I walked into the changing room. My granddad walked in and he slammed the door, and he went, "What an absolute ridiculous shot to play when you were one run away from being the first Colt to get 100. Ridiculous. Think about it." And just walked out of the changing room, and I'm like, wow. I've just had all these people like telling me how incredible I am. And he didn't even say it. And to be fair, then so I think 3 or 4 hours later in the bar, or even when we got home, he like put his hand on my shoulder and says, "Well batted, boy." But he wanted to teach me that lesson. But again, that probably in some sense did help, but didn't. And the other story that I went back to, and I'm going back in my mind to remember these, again when I was playing rugby for Hitchin, and again about the same age, again about 15, played a game. I think I scored 3 tries, kicked a few conversions, and again was massively being celebrated as this up and coming rugby player who was 15 and playing for the men's team. And my coach was very, very loud, and he was pissed in the bar, and he was going, "Lee Freeman 24, St Albans nil," because it was obviously his little protege that he'd been coaching. Again, I remember my granddad dragging me to one side that day, and he looked me straight in the eye and he says, "Boy, there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance, and you're starting to step over it very, very regularly. I suggest you redefine where that line is, you get back on the right side of it, or people aren't going to like you very much." And he's right, arrogance is not, confidence is great, isn't it? Arrogance is not. And I was getting cocky, which we all don't want to get. But again, so there's 2 lessons where, you can take self-love so far and self-compassion, but also not to an egotistical level. And it's 2 different things. So, to be successful, we have to understand that we're going to be continually facing challenges, and when to have self-love and self-compassion, again when to be realistic that we just got cocky, we just got arrogant, and that we made a bad decision. But then you made a bad decision, but then understand the decision and move forward. Don't waste days berating yourself because you got out on 99. You made a stupid decision, you got out on 99. Okay, you got too cocky, your granddad handed your ass to you. Accept the lesson and move. Don't berate yourself. You will do this when you've upset someone, or you've let someone else down. You go on and on and on about it. You apologize once and leave it. If I let you guys down, I'm going to say I'm sorry. Okay, I'm not going to keep saying I'm sorry for days, weeks, months afterwards, because it's wasted energy, like I said. And we all make mistakes. We're all human. We all mess up. All of our poo smells. And not sure what the relevance of that is, but we need to just understand that we have to be kind to ourselves. So start to treat yourself as if you're your own best friend. Because if the things that you're saying to yourself, they aren't adding value, they're not motivating you, they're not inspiring you, then what's the point? You're bringing yourself down when you should be building yourself up. So talk positively about yourself. And next time you find yourself doing this, just ask yourself that question. Would I talk about other people like this? Would I talk about Logan? You're a failure, you're useless, everything you do always goes wrong. You wouldn't. Just talk to yourself in the same way you talk to your loved ones, because your words are what will make you unbreakable and either propel you forwards or break you down. So become your biggest hero, because when you're your biggest hero, when you love yourself, and when you are your biggest fan, you take all the power away from the negative thoughts. I love you all. Have an amazing evening.